What is up, you awesome kissers? It's CistReactZ guys. Today we're going to be reacting to Reimagining Security Breach. So make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to Nick Carson Press, and comment down below on their video. Also, they told me to tell you guys that they do have a novel coming out and that they're a rising horror creator and they would love people to check out more of their content on YouTube and their book that I'm talking about. So that'll be in the description below as well. This video has definitely sparked quite a controversy on twitter.com because of some graphic images that weren't warned once the video initially came out. So I'll be blocking those out. For once, I'm thanking Twitter for warning me about something. And yeah, let's get into this bot. Oh.
Why would I have gone
it was like in the intro. Okay.
You are now looking at the exit to this level. It's in between these two washing machines. From another angle, I can show you that the exit is pretty clear as it's just a gap in between the washing machines. I did not find this for 45 minutes. I am showing you this.
What is going on here?
It will help you understand my slow descent into madness as I desperately search for a way out of this place when it was in fact right in front of me all along. I am an idiot, and I...
No, you're not. It's the game.
Oh, so he was serious when he said he's reimagining Security
It's been almost
Breach.
a year since Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach debuted, and its reputation continues to be as controversial as ever. Its release was plagued with a slew of bugs and technical errors, ones associated with a rushed development and release that, until later patches, rendered the final product nearly unplayable. Regardless, it only took players a handful of hours to pick apart the game down to the bits, uncovering every Easter egg and secret ending. And it was only then that another one of the game's shortcomings truly came to light. The Five Nights at Freddy's franchise is notorious for its overarching narrative, incomprehensible to the average
Somebody put a whole timeline of FNAF together? That's crazy.
Player, viciously scrutinized and debated by its most ardent fans. Regardless, when consolidated and observed from an objective level, the story the franchise attempts to tell is a dark, brutal tragedy of deception, insanity, betrayal, and redemption. Many agree that Pizzeria Simulator, where every major character, good and bad, is brought together and burned alive in one blaze of glory, was the true ending to the franchise.
It's just me.
Nonetheless, help want to pick up the charred remains of the story and run with them, hinting at another conspiracy unfurling. The antagonistic William Afton's digitized consciousness slowly possessing a young woman named Vanessa, cursing her with the split personality of the murderous Vanny. And it became apparent that Security Breach would aim to explore this narrative offshoot in a grand, ambitious fashion on a scale the franchise has never seen before. It didn't really do that so well. Hints of Security Breach's story striking a sour note came before the game was even released, with the Steam page's description labeling it, and the franchise as a whole, family-friendly horror. There's been a constant debate within the community as to the intended age level of the FNAF games. As someone who was there when the first game dropped all the way back in 2014, Jesus, it feels like decades ago.
Why does he look like me in the middle right there? Honestly, yeah, I don't know why everyone always says like FNAF is a kid's game either. Like if you know like the background story of FNAF since like day one, which is what he's probably about to say, like I don't know. I think it like kind of went into adult horror or like the teen horror as soon as like you know the backstory that's been established all these years, because what William Afton did to those kids, that ain't no Barney I Love You Teletubbies type of Paw Patrol Dora the Explorer type of crap kids should be looking at, you know?
It was always my impression that despite the cartoony aesthetic and minimalist mechanics, the game intended to play off young adult and over's inherent unease of animatronic characters, especially the stilted, bulging ones seen in venues like Chuck E. Cheese's. The games were never gory or featured much adult content, but it didn't have to do that to be scary or to tell a dark story. The elements were there for those committed enough to pick them out. But then, the internet happened. There's this whole conversation to be had about how horror media, the accessibility of the internet, and this new generation of plugged-in children all intersect, but that's not for this video. All we need to know going forward is that fans were hungry for a FNAF game that would finally show its teeth and flaunt the darkness it so implicitly embraced.
Oh, wow.
And they looked to Security Breach with eager eyes. So this family-friendly horror designation seemed to many like the studio dropping the ball on what FNAF could have been.
Game start.
As players delved in, it was apparent that things seemed off. For one, the game doesn't take place over 5 nights, you know, the time frame as displayed in the title, but rather 6 hours. 6 uncut hours in a massive, free-roaming environment dominated almost entirely by fetch quests. Get this item so you can unlock this door, so you can access this item so you can pass through into this area, but wait, this door needs a key, but the key is inside this room, and it's just a mess.
Honestly, I don't know if this is gonna hurt some people when I say this. Like, Security Breach in my eyes, like, the glitches were the only thing that, like, annoyed the hell out of me. But, like, I feel like the game was like a new breath of fresh life in the Five Nights at Freddy's series. And before anybody hates comments, no, I'm not saying that because I got it from Scott. I'm saying that because I actually liked it. I've always wanted a Five Nights at Freddy's game where you could, like, run around and have free roam. Like, I was wishing a FNAF game like FNAF 4 would come back, but, like, in the form of free roam, and, you know, we got it, you know? I'm happy about it.
And there's no...
But yeah, some of the quests in the game are pretty annoying.
Obvious sense of progress.
Like the Fruity Maze?
The game feels too big for its own good, and yet all that
not the Fruity Maze.
Feels...
I forgot. Dang, my FNAF 6 drama just spoke through to me. No, not the Fruity Maze. The little workout maze in this game. I forgot what it's called, but never that again. Scott, Steelwool. No.
Empty. I know that some players like free-roaming environments with a lot to explore, but claustrophobia was always a major facet of the FNAF games. So when I see an animatronic running at me in the distance from across a giant room looking about as big as an ant, something that was once there has definitely been lost.
Oh.
I know it sounds like I'm critiquing the technical aspects more than them.
It's also kind of interesting to see, like, what other people think about the game, too. Because I never really thought about it like that. Like, you know, yeah, the game's always had this claustrophobic ghetto office feeling, and they're, like, right there in front of you if you don't shut that door. Yeah, you know, you do come to miss that. But, I mean, like, when it comes to that free roam, when they're chasing you, got places to hide and stuff, I like it.
Narrative aspects right now, but all this broader stuff is important in how a story unfurls. Building tension, making an impact, story beats, environmental cues, a sense that things are changing. The game does this to an extent with the boss fights against the animatronics, allowing you to scavenge parts from them and upgrade Freddy to access other areas. And don't get me wrong, there are some great sequences in the game. The daycare center, the endo section, and the DJ Music Man boss stand out.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, these upsides aren't enough to justify the underwhelming back-and-forth gameplay that dominates the majority of the experience. The game could have benefited from more linear paths, with a return to the five-night structure, perhaps in the form of 5 separate missions, each one featuring a new section of the Pizzaplex to be unlocked.
That's interesting.
The areas from the original game could be retained, spread out over the proposed 5 missions, and eliminating the need to backtrack and wander so much. Having a layover in between nights could also help with the pacing, allowing the player a break to decompress, absorb, and provide opportunity for potential character development. And what would make up these 5 missions?
Characters?
I actually think the characters, for the most part, are pretty good. I very much enjoy Freddy's absurdly wholesome dad vibes, especially compared to the other animatronics' more exaggerated neuroses. The plot point where a malfunction in Freddy's programming keeps him from being corrupted is very clever. It gives me Iron Giant vibes. Roxy in particular is a goldmine of character, providing not only a surprisingly deep emotional range, but also the most unnerving part of the game with her shattered form.
I love the shattered form. Is that what we call them? Shattered?
Yep.
However, the way these characters are handled still leaves a lot to be desired.
They technically are shattered, so yeah, I like that name.
More like events, aren't enough to make up for the random encounters the player will have throughout the majority of the Pizzaplex. And when they're paired with the omnipresent security bots, which really just feel like an afterthought to ensure the player has a greater chance of actually seeing the enemies in such a wide open space, they become reduced to mere annoyances. Obstacles instead of threats. Nuisances instead of characters. All this talk of character and structure reminds me of a game that in some ways is similar to Security Breach but does it right. Resident Evil Village. It too is a massive game with a lot to explore in each of its areas.
Dang, that's the
but
map?
there is still a sense of linearity to those areas.
I bought that game,
Castle
didn't even finish it.
Dimitrescu isn't just a place you visit for a fetch quest. It's a consequential part of the story that you have to fight and think your way through to make progress. And despite Lady Dimitrescu being confined almost solely to her one area, she still manages to be both a threat and a memorable character due to how her role in the story unfurls. What if each night at Freddy's centered around one animatronic? There could be some bleed over, such as what we saw in Sister Location, but this choice could really help with memorability and ensure a more cohesive, digestible experience. Each one gets their day, or night rather, in the sun, allowing for a more focused, streamlined look at their personalities and backstories. So far, the characters we've discussed have had little to no impact on how Security Breach's story.
And it does make you wonder too. I wonder if Ruin is gonna go along with the Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach style of gameplay, or are they gonna go back to the Five Nights route, kind of, but like try to keep the open world gameplay with it?
Actually plays out,
or the more linear path,
we've
like
been
he's
going
like
relatively
Nick is saying
easy
in
on
this
the
video.
game so far. You can probably guess what's coming up. All right, here we go. The one you all want to hear about. Of course, we're talking about ComedyBot. I mean, a robot that tells jokes? What's not to love? The fact that they just tucked him away in a part of the game that most players would never even visit, and a patch had to be installed to allow him to actually tell his jokes in the first place? Talk about cruel.
Are you serious?
I could go on for hours about how ComedyBot is just... Okay, it's Vanny. Holy fuck. Vanny. Not since Judas sold out Christ for 30 silver pieces has there been a more grievous...
Can I take a break? Yo, it never gets easier. Like, being a horror game content creator, a horror game reactor, gamer, whatever you want to label me as, both if you want, I prefer. It doesn't get easy. I've seen that Golden Freddy jump scare probably like 50 plus times in my life. It don't get easy, and then this happens. What's up? Anyway, sorry, someone came in my room. But yeah, it don't get easy seeing those jump scares. Like I feel like at least 50 years of my life got taken away, and 2023 just started. It's New Year's today.
This character betrayal. Before Security Breach, she was built up as Afton's acolyte, a young woman tortured by a split personality. That being this giddily psychotic killing machine, like Michael Myers meets Harley Quinn or something like that. The trailers even portrayed her as a significantly antagonistic presence, the big bad behind everything. And all this isn't even taking into account the dramatic implications of a split personality, the unabashed torture of wrestling for control with a darker half, the contrast between brainwashed killer and innocent young women struggling to stay sane amid the torment forcing her to commit heinous sins in the name of old ghosts. I'm sorry.
All right, that got detailed.
All that wasted potential is practically criminal. And I'm far from the only one who thinks so. Remember when
Did I say amazing how Vanny had more screen time in the trailer than the actual game? Yeah, that's a yikes.
I mentioned earlier about the game being branded as family-friendly horror. This is no more apparent than with Vanny, whose character poster portrayed her wielding a kitchen knife, which was then scrapped, along with any significant presence, any protracted sequences, any nuance to her character, especially her other half, Vanessa.
Gregory, we can get you out of here. You and me together. They won't stop hunting you. None of them will stop hunting you.
I'll bet you think you're real clever.
I don't even remember her saying that in the trailer. It's crazy.
I know your name. You're in big trouble. This is not the night to be wasting my time. So, you are going to wait right there and lost and found until your parents or the police arrive.
When did you become such a bitch?
And let's be frank, along with anything that really makes her stand out from the other animatronics. Based on her mechanics alone, you could probably replace her with a haunted lamp, and it would be just as effective. I guess to make her scarier, they added some audio-visual distortion effects whenever she gets close to the player, which again just seems more like an afterthought than a deliberate aspect of her character design.
But it's a game theory that Gregory is a robot and Vanny is interfering with his programming too.
Get out of here with that shit! Not to mention how lame the endings are. The two Vanny endings just brush all we've seen aside with some comic book panels. The rooftop ending shows Gregory unmasking Vanny to reveal Vanessa, but then it cuts to
Am I the only one on Earth that actually did like the comic panel idea for the ending? I mean, I'm a sucker for animation. But like, just me being scared by my own shadow. That's all. Anyway, I'm a sucker for animation. Y'all know that, but I don't know. I kind of like the comic book stuff.
Vanessa's ghost? Doppelganger? The actual Vanessa? What? Ironically, the bad ending is the most respectful to her character in terms of portraying how menacing she is. And the canonical Afton ending doesn't even address Vanny or Vanessa at all. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Fuck these two. Talk about being unwilling to move on and take the story in a new direction. So, okay, the Pizzaplex is built over the ruins of the FNAF 6 restaurant. I don't have a problem with that. But then they have to go ahead and resurrect these tied up loose ends from that game for no good reason other than the lore. The blob has a cool design admittedly, but it appears for like 10 seconds, 5 of those in cutscene form.
Dang.
I don't get it. And Afton's back again.
I always come back.
Yeah, when you put it all in front of us, yeah, you know, they did mess up story-wise, kinda, mostly, but, like, the gameplay idea itself was definitely a good breath of fresh life for the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Like, this is probably, like, the 15th person I've seen, like, in video form, like, put it all out, how the story's kind of weird, how the cutscenes were kind of weird, how the direction with the story was kind of, but, like, yeah, I can kind of agree with that. But I still stick to what I say about the gameplay, though. And those cutscenes.
Yeah. Whatever. I thought the point of FNAF 6 was to bring all these deranged spirits in one place and then take them down at once. Is Security Breach implying that Henry and Michael's sacrifice was in vain? That you can go through 6 games worth of suffering and nightmares and torment and scheme to put an end to it all, only to have it nullified and brought back because, bullshit, I guess?
I always come back.
I know there's a theory that the blob isn't actually possessed by dead children, but rather the perpetual agony that was left behind, but that's definitely the charitable perspective. And again, what's Afton's excuse?
I always.
I mean, hopefully it's.
As you've probably already guessed, ending the story on these two was, in my opinion, a stupid decision. A slap in the face to all that was gained and lost in FNAF 6, and I'm surprised this isn't brought up more often. A disservice to Vanny, relegating her character to a mere sideshow in light of the big reveal. All the potential for a new story direction was there, it just didn't happen. I'm only harping on this game so much because I, like many, am passionate about this franchise. And I, like many, was looking forward to this game being a step forward instead of a wonky backwards stumble. I also recognize that most of these story decisions were made due to time and budgetary constraints. And in that case, I can't be too harsh on the game or its creators, who I'm sure are passionate and talented people who care just as much as the rest of us. But let me indulge in my imagination for a bit.
Was that an actual thing?
I'm sure I'm not the only one who's sat down and thought about, what if Five Nights at Freddy's security breach were different? It's the near future. The urban sprawl is drenched in a constant rain, but Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex remains a shining beacon amid the storm. A place where fantasy and fun come to life, the desire of every little boy and girl. Even the ones without a home to go back to. Amid the progress, there are those who are left behind, a gang of orphaned children, street rats who struggle to see another day. Without a family, they've been forced to depend on each other for support. But despite the hardships, they're still kids at heart, and the allure of the Pizzaplex occupies whatever parts in their minds that remain young. Only one doesn't seem to buy into the Pizzaplex's charm, Gregory. Maybe he's a little older and more jaded than his peers, maybe just a few years ahead, maturity-wise. But the sugary colors and smiling mascots are off-putting to him. The other children, meanwhile, dream of gaining admittance into the Pizzaplex. Some even sneak in when they can, in all sorts of devious ways. The loading docks, the employee entrances, even the trash chute. Just to play games, eat good food, and feel what it's like to be a real kid. But as time goes on, Gregory suddenly notices that he's alone. His friends haven't been returning from their trips to the Pizzaplex. As the days pass and the restaurant continues to glow down upon him, Gregory's uncertainty turns to indignation. He resolves that he too will visit the facility, but not to have fun, to find his friends. Upon entry, Gregory quickly discovers that the Pizzaplex has become a madhouse after hours. Rogue endos stalk the floors, mindlessly pursuing Gregory if they spot him. However, Gregory is eventually saved by Freddy, who explains that his friends are sick, acting strangely and wandering out of their green rooms after hours. He then recounts the incident where he detected danger in the crowd and malfunctioned on stage, denting his head plate and shorting out some circuits, seeming to shield him from what's affecting his friends. They both agree that something is wrong inside the Pizzaplex, and they decide to team up to figure out what and why. Night 1 focuses on the daycare center with the sun moon, and plays out similar to what we've seen before. However, when the lights go back on, Gregory ends up back in the ball pit, where he finds to his horror Cameron, a 5-year-old boy he knew from his gang, but a ghostly apparition, one showing signs of having been strangled to death.
Damn, that is wow. That is horrifyingly detailed. Okay, I can definitely see why Twitter was mad. Ugh. You know, if the creator does watch this video, just next time, don't make it so Twitter has to tell everybody else before they watch that there is some real crazy detailed art here.
Upon discovery, however, the ghost floats in the air and disappears, and a little more light returns to the room. Horrified, Gregory flees the daycare, informing Freddy that a child died in the facility, but Gregory promises that he'll come back to investigate further once night falls again the next day.
Or like what he thinks the story
should be,
I guess. As he sleeps
in the morning, Gregory has a vivid nightmare from the perspective of Cameron, who had apparently snuck into the daycare after hours to play with the sun, all by himself. But just like before, the lights go off. Moon tells Cameron that it's time for bed.
Oh, nah.
Cameron is nervous and reluctant, so Moon decides to put him to sleep himself.
That's crazy! Moon's just out here.
On night 2, Gregory returns to the Pizzaplex, informing Freddy of his nightmare. Naturally, Freddy is shocked and upset that his friends are the ones responsible for the disappearances, but he further agrees to help Gregory in his quest for redemption. This leads him to the kitchens, where he's pursued by Chica.
Even drew his own Chica.
He then discovers the next ghost in the trash compactor, that of James, who had a reputation among the other street rats for being malnourished.
I cannot show this on YouTube.com nowadays, but trust me when wow. Damn. Like, me personally, that would not be me in that trash compactor. That is definitely what I got to say about what is going on with one of his friends in this trash compactor.
And filthy, but as Chica finds Gregory and attacks, he ends up compacting her, and they both tumble into the garbage pit. It is there that he has his first encounter with Vanny, who chases him throughout the pit until he escapes.
Killed a lot of people.
Gregory's next nightmare reveals James's fate, who had snuck into the restaurant's kitchen to try some of their food for the first time.
Yeah, you see him now on the screen, right? Like, all this was like poking out, like wires, basically. Like, Jesus.
Unfortunately,
who drew this? Okay, it must have been him that drew this, but I guess he got the glam rock Chica from Reddit.
Chica, her prerogative to devour trash corrupted, did not discern the starving, dirty child from the refuse around him, and
I mean, wow. Wow. Like, the reason I'm pausing a lot is because I gotta timestamp exactly where all this was, or I'll forget. Yo, this would not be me. Like, me personally, I would not be caught in these situations, man. Seriously.
Gregory returns on night 3, but with news of Chica's decommissioning, security guard Vanessa is hired to work night shifts, throwing a kink into Gregory's plans. Regardless, he makes it to Roxy Raceway, menaced by Roxy herself, and he finds the third ghost, that of a girl he knew, Caroline. Gregory manages
safe to say, Caroline, she got withered bodied. You know if you know. You know if you know. Like, that, wow. Wow. All right. Next one.
Mission Roxy next, but on his way out spots Vanessa prostrating herself before a collage of Vanny. and makes the connection. The next vision reveals that Caroline had snuck in and sought out Roxy so she could make her as pretty as she always dreamed of being. But Roxy,
and she must ask
her
for the
jealousy
withered Bonnie
amplified
style
by the corruption, finished her makeup, and then saw the girl as a threat to her own beauty.
Yeah, let me just get the timestamp. Yep. Let me get the timestamp ready.
Night 4 sees Gregory again evading Vanny and navigating through Monty Minigolf, stalked by the beast himself. He discovers the ghost of Tyson, a boy who had entered the restaurant to see his favorite animatronic, Glamrock Bonnie.
Bro should have drank the big pot when he jumped off the battle bus. That's all I gotta say about Tyson.
A boy who had entered the restaurant to see his favorite animatronic,
should have drank the big pot.
Glamrock Bonnie. A detail that had not gone unnoticed by Monty.
Oh, so the bite of 87, that's crazy.
On night 5, only one animatronic remains on Gregory's roster. The DJ Music Man. He enters the West Arcade to confront the mechanical beast, but despite his best efforts, he cannot locate the ghost of the 5th child. But upon returning to Freddy's room, he finds the ghost, her frontal lobe having been bitten off.
Oh, never mind, now here's the bite.
Freddy confesses the first victim in the Pizzaplex had been his, that it had happened before his accident on stage, and that he is now filled with guilt and regret over the incident, wanting to redeem himself by helping Gregory. However, a horrified Gregory...
You know, I kind of like how this video is very creative. Like, this is probably gonna be one of the most creative reviews for a video game I've ever seen before. Because, like, it's not just, oh, this game did this bad, this game did this bad. All right, hit that like button. I'll see you guys when the next AAA title releases. No, this is like, this game is bad, and this is how it could fix it here, and there. And he even drew his own storyline and outlined his own story to read to us and stuff. I like that. That's like kind of creative, you know? Seriously, I kind of like that.
Gregory berates Freddy, stating that if it weren't for the
like
accident,
the extra mile.
He'd be a murderous killing machine by nature too. He flees into the night, unsure of his next move.
Like how he's playing the
Gregory
old
sneaks
FNAF.
back into the Pizzaplex to confront Vanny directly, emboldened,
FNAF.
disregarding his self-preservation. But he's...
Where did that song come from? It was that one cutscene where Michael was saying he'll go and find Afton, and then we figured out Afton survived the fire in FNAF 3. Don't tell me, it's coming. It was Sister Location Custom Nights. That's where that cutscene appeared, I think.
He's pursued by the shattered Glamrock animatronics until he discovers the ruins of the FNAF 6 restaurant, along with Vanny's setup. To complete the shrine, Vanny requires 5 children.
Jesus.
And she only needs 1 more. But before Vanny can dispatch him...
Oh, Freddy took the hit.
With Vanny subdued by the malfunctioning Freddy, Gregory scours the ruins, discovering the ghosts of the 4 children that Vanny had personally murdered. And once brought together...
Oh my god. Okay, that could be shown, right? Let me just go back. Yeah, that could be shown. It's just they're ghostly, ethereal, cursed bodies doing something. But, Jesus.
I realize this new narrative is not as fleshed out as it could be.
Ugh.
I also recognize the fundamental issues with it, mainly its explicit levels of violence. Some compare the previous FNAF games to Jaws, where true horror comes from what's only seen in shadows, or not seen at all. Sure enough, the old FNAF games relied a lot on unseen horror, but that went hand in hand with their simple mechanics and low budgets. So the only real reason to hold back with a game like Security Breach was a voluntary decision. Which leads me to my follow-up point. Like it or not, the FNAF series has developed a huge following in the young demographic, which means merchandise. Lots and lots of merchandise targeted towards children. Would Security Breach products have been nearly as successful if they had been associated with imagery such as this? Especially considering how aware parents are of their children's relationship with this franchise. Hate it all you want, but companies still like to make money. And very often they will choose the safer path as long as it means greater returns and less risk. Still, a more cohesive and respectful story could have been told without being so brutal. Take away the heavier and more violent elements from my reimagining, and you still have a story that both complements and forwards the FNAF narrative we know. But again, we can more likely attribute the game's narrative shortcomings to time and resource constraints. Security Breach will always narrative shortcomings to time and resource constraints.
Ironically, I hate how the stupid YouTube player is... I'm going to full screen it just so I can read it. Ironically, why I couldn't come up with a satisfactory ending in time.
Security Breach will always remain a strong point of contention and discussion among the fanbase. And with the Ruin DLC coming out sometime in 2023, all signs point to the developers seeking to rectify the issues present in the main game, which hopefully includes the narrative ones as well. But only time will tell. For now, though, we'll continue to talk about this game and what it could have done better.
Okay, yeah, this is the outro, and this is him promoting the book that he told me to have you guys check out. That's the book, Hell's Gulf by Nick Carlson. So yeah. Good video. I do like how it was, yeah, basically like a review video, and it like picked apart what the game did bad, what most people complain about, and then in like the next half of the video, you got him like putting everything that he said was bad into like his own reimagination on how it could be better. And none of it was like toxic or annoying. I like it, you know? Like he just pointed out what he didn't like and then showed what could have most likely been better to him. And I respect that in a reviewer. I like the details, time, and dedications. I like that. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments down below, because I got a lot of censoring to do with this one. I'll see you awesome kissers later. Peace out.